What is going on, students? It's Devlin Cassidy, aka The Scholar, and I'm back with another video today. Today we're going to be talking about a tier list for premium. Don't worry, the format is not as cooked as everybody thinks it is. And if you are going to go to premium this BCS season and really just want to be able to enjoy the format outside of the loot decks and have a good solid chance at topping, this guide and tier list is going to be a pretty good indicator for you. Again, I have tried to steer away from in my prior tier list, kind of just ranking like S, A, B, C, and D, those and F, and that tier list ranking, especially when you only do it by clan, is not accurate. So we are actually using the Curly's tier list here. Again, shout out him for building this thing that illustrates all of these different premium decks that we have access to. Some of them I looked through and I really don't know what they do, or I've really never heard of them. So I'm gonna ask for those when we get to those decks for me to explain those in the comment section down below, and then I can give a reply to those comments thinking about where I think those kind of fall in. But like we say in here, again, your loop decks are going to be your most powerful ones, but how you see the rest of the decks situated are going to be kind of a pretty good indicator as to why. And I hope that you guys can really get a good sense from this tier list about, outside of the loop decks, what are some of the best decks to take into this format. And I hope that you guys really, really do, value those. Even if you just want to enjoy the format. So without further ado, man, enough of my yapping, let's get into it. So we are starting here with Jewel Knights. I say Jewel Knights is a solid choice. Jewel Knights, they have a few options at their disposal. Having the write-up with the deck set support is still very solid. So I say it's okay. It's not the best deck by far, but it's stronger than stuff that I would just not even consider taking. So that's kind of where I'm at. MLB, I'm in the don't bother side of things there. Alt Miles, the same. Alden Jewel Knights, it topped last season, but I don't think it's broken. So I'll put it there. Battle Sisters, I think, is a solid choice. Not a terrible deck, but again, there's stuff that's stronger than it, especially in the best non-loop. Susano, since I don't see the Calico Turbo, illustrated here in the options for our tier list, I'm going to say that is it. Again, even though Calico Turbo is not a loop deck, it functions like a loop deck. You're making an unguardable attack for your opponent with some threshold for them. It's the guard restrict. So if you don't qualify it as a loop deck, it's definitely number one here, just because the deck is really good. Ichi Popo is Broco, so that's where I'm at. Tsukiyomi, don't bother. OTT Witches, don't bother. Pure Luard is trash. Crest Luard is a solid choice. I'd say that's near the tail end though. And again, it's only the G Dragheart that you can play the Crest with, even though the V's on the card. Make sure that you do understand that it's only G Dragheart. Kosher Luard. I wouldn't bother with Kosher Luard if I want to be totally honest. Now, deck is really good. Deck is incredibly grindy, but there's stronger decks up here in the format, and there's better solid choice. So if you were gonna say Kosher Luard solid, it would be at the bottom near of solid choice, but I just wouldn't consider taking it. In all honesty, just because you have to spend the first few of your turns farming markers and playing really V style, which is the strength of the deck, don't get me wrong, but you're not getting insane card advantage because you're stuck on Dragheart every turn. So that's just something you have to keep in mind. Sure, you get crazy force markers, sure you get crazy numbers, and you ride Raziel and you have a pseudo Bartholomew turn, but it's just not worth it. Plus, you're getting force marker. Granblue gets protects, and then they can still scale because they're playing the Crest. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. A Raziel Claret Sword, though, I think is a little bit better. I would still put that at the top of Don't Bother, though. It's still a gimmick deck, in my personal opinion, but I think it's low-key better than the Kosher Luard. Sure, you don't get as many force markers, but you get to your threshold faster of having better grade 1 pieces. You could play Blue Espada. You play pretty stronger grade 2 gaming pieces, so definitely for the Claret Sword build over the Luard. Shadow Paladin, which is absolutely not. Revengers, I'd actually say, is a very solid choice. We've seen this deck top now a few times in the Summerfest. Don't sleep. This deck ignores most of its matchups now. Like if it runs into a Narukami or something, pretty inhibiting. But this deck is really strong, man. Like the fact that we have these really crazy card qualities and that everything is very accessible for the deck set. This is like low-key a really good budget deck as well. So I would give that there. Gurgit, I put near the bottom of solid choice. There's better decks as you're about to see. Liberators, we're going to ignore. Pure Ezel, if you're playing this, go back to like, what, 2019 when this deck was relevant. And then Ezel Loop is the first loop deck we encounter. Again, I think this is one of the more disgusting loop deck in the format because this can play through the over trigger. So, yeah, because if they're not attacking you a bunch of times, then they switch to the point where they just make you draw a card, and then you just deck yourself out. So the only real way to stop this deck is Honolly. Agravain is a meme. No CL, yeah. Gav Control, don't bother. Hamiel, maybe? Like the Gavriel multi-attack deck, maybe? I think that was in between like the control list and the Hamiel build. These two do very similar things. Yeah, the electrical helper loop, I'm gonna leave here because I don't know. If someone wants to tell me what that loop does, I'm actually very interested in actually what this loop does because I have an Angel Feather collection. So if there's a loop for this, I would love to know like how this works. Angel Geese, I think it's still one of the better non-loop decks. This deck is still one of the unfair decks that exists in the format, similarly to the Ichi Popo Turbo. I think this deck will have to get hit if they decide to hit the loop decks. This deck being able to leave my opponent at 1 damage for the entire game and really control tempo and just turtle is extremely broken. This deck also does not necessarily have to attack your opponent because you can play both splits of the G and the V Gavrael. And I will be doing a deck profile on this deck soon. This deck is like low-key one of my favorite decks I'm playing right now. I really love Geese a lot. So I just want to highlight that this deck is not dead by any means, just because the loop decks can deny it. If this deck gets paired into a more so like regular deck that's not trying to do a loop function, this deck is still like one of the best decks to take if you have it at your disposal. Fenrir Control is non-existent because they lost Gelja and some of the other mill pieces. Fenrir OTK. This is a really strong loop deck as well. This is what won Worlds, actually, for the sake of just its speed is a little faster. So the Ezel loop is relying on the GB8. The Fenrir OTK, though, can kill you on their history collection stride. They prefer to do it on Ampharos, though, to turn off the Sentinels. But, like, they're going first and, like, you've G-assisted, well, then, like, you're for sure cooked because your opponent knows what's in their hand. And if you don't have, like, multiple PGs, then you're dying that turn. So that's there. I'd say Regalia is not a terrible choice. You still have control over like your board not being retired. You have pseudo effect dodging. You protect your board during your opponent's turn. It's pretty solid. So I'd say Regalia is not a bad pick. I'd probably put it somewhere around here. It's around Crest Luard power level. And the restanding is pretty strong. I'd actually do, if I had to change it, I'd do something like this. If I had to like order them. Poets, it's a high roll deck. Like, it's not bad. Like, you can play this in meme, but like if you're expecting to win a BCS, I would not consider. Same with Youthberg. Fortuna Loop. It's another loop deck I don't know. If someone wants to explain to me the Fortuna loop, I would greatly appreciate it. And then Genesis Witches, I just would say don't bother. Overlord, it would be your best choice out of Kagero. Lawkeeper's a meme. Eugene Kagero's a meme. Lawkeeper's annoying to play against. Like, I would say still though, there's like an absolute like rogue deck that you kind of like just need to read all their cards. Lawkeeper is one of them because that deck makes it very awkward for you to play sometimes. Pure Vanquisher, no. Sweep Exterm. I'm going to do this. I feel like Narukami's taken the role that Mega Colony had last format of just kind of being your deck checker. So, like, if your deck can beat Naru, you have a pretty solid chance of topping. Plus, Naru is like not terrible into the loop decks because most of the loop decks get insulated by Angel Ladder. So Narukami forcing your opponent to get to Angel Ladder is a very relevant effect that can control the tempo of the game because Impede, Bulwark are both very strong G guards. So I would not sleep on, you know, the ability for either of these builds to do really well. I still think Sweep Exterm Superior Ride is broken. And then Vowing Saber Reverse is still a very strong card. So both of these decks are not bad. I lean towards Sweep Exterm. It's more consistent, and you apply a lot more pressure every turn. The ladder's more devastating in this deck, in my opinion. But yeah, that's it there. Murakumo. This deck dies to a defensive trigger, bro. Everything of Murakumo is just bad, and I really hate to say that because I like the deck, but it is what it is. Crest Nui's like high end of Don't Bother, or it's like bottom of solid choice. For those that invested into Shiranui last season, I hope that you guys have been seeing the list online that kind of, you know, have been covering Zonky Crest Nui. So not, you want to be playing Oboro, which is illustrated here, but you'd be playing Zonky with the Crest to get double domination on like on ride and then stride. And it's a kind of a blind going second. I think though you're losing out on what made Shiranui so good last format, and that was being able to be very aggressively discarding, which is why I'm gonna put it here. But I'm gonna talk about this real quick. I think the best way to play Nubatama, in my opinion, and what I've seen from different circles of, you know, me testing into this format. Daihausen aggressive hand rip, where you're playing Orboroach for the superior stride going first to rip more cards out of your opponent's hand, and then sitting on Daihausen for the rest of the game, is low-key very underrated. Having to discard a card every time you call a card against this deck is really annoying, so I would definitely say that like you have to watch out for that. Hanzo though, same thing. Pure Nui, like same thing with Hausen, but like I equivalent this deck to playing Hausen. You have to have a backup plan. You can't just like, you know, go full ball wall Shiranui just because like your dominate's a little weaker, but like it's still strong because of the restands, but like your power scaling is what really benefited from the Crest. So like the Crest has a little more upside. I think the Daihausen build though is a little more consistent. Gaia, horrible. Coil Magnum Loop, this deck dies if 2 of your stands go to the damage, and you have no way to recycle triggers. So you have to like do like a 3-card step process to get this back to your hand. You have to like call a Blytops, rest a Savage Shooter, take out the Coil Magnum from drop, put it onto the Blytops, and then kill the Blytops, and then CB and add it to your hand. So like, just not worth. Magia Harry, not worth. Crest Harry doesn't exist. The Stage Harry exists with the Crest. I don't think this deck's worth it. I mean, like if you're gonna play Pale Moon, I think it would be your most solid choice of Pale Moon. Nightmare Dolls is bad. Greed on Loop. I don't think this loop is good. In my opinion, I think this costs way too much to set up. You have to literally go on a grade 3. Your first grade 3 turn literally has to do nothing, and then your opponent has to be dumb enough to give you 4 damage. And then how to play around your opponent being smart is you have to play more bricks in your deck of having the limit break enablers. Like this deck is not good. So I would not play this if I were you. But hey, you're allowed to play whatever you want, man. You know, if you enjoy that deck, cool, go for it. Steam Maiden. I'd say I low-key think Steam Maiden's not terrible. I will put it in here though. I don't think Gears is in a really good position. And I'm not ranking the Don't Bother. I'm just like highlighting what I want to highlight. Steam Maidens, it has really good write-up. You can do some fun stuff. You still have the Bear Lock to set up your plays for the following turn. I mean, it is what it is. Crest Jet's kind of in a similar boat. You'd be playing the Zodiac Time Beast stuff that I saw atop Australia in Sydney. I thought low-key that deck was like pretty cool. Pure Jet is terrible. Chronofang, what are you doing? Demiurge, what are you doing? Okay, now I'm getting into a bunch of erroneous decks. Let's see. Anger Blader's also the same there. Whoops, absolutely skipped over that. I don't think Gastile is bad, and I don't think Barrow's bad. I think that these 2 decks are not terrible. I think that those would definitely be considerations. You can skip out on these. Galley's still very solid. I'll come through and rank these just because I'm noticing I have a lot of decks to get through, And then I'm kind of just going to talk about the tier list a little bit later. Hellhard 8 Turbo is another loot deck. That one though is here. Again, it's focused on the GB8, and the OT does kill this, so that's why I'm saying that this one is behind Ezel, is that Ezel can still play through the Overtrigger, Hellhard 8 can't, and so sometimes that really like messes up your tempo. Bruce Loop, 2-piece reliant. Funny when you get it off though, like you going like crazy amount of attacks, even more so sometimes than the Hellhard 8 loop is like crazy. Dieliner, I don't think Dieliner is bad. I think it's a little slow though. I've seen some Gallop lists go around. I don't know what I want to think on this yet. So I'm gonna put Gallop with Dieliner. I think both builds are valid. It depends on the speed or the rate that you want to play DP. DP is always going to be solid though, because it does not care what it plays against. It just will smack face. So yeah, that's really it. Victor's always a solid choice. We saw a crazy representation of this last format. Like Victor, I think, is still one of the best non-loop. Yeah, this actually goes into one of the best non-loop decks. This is like right here. Even though it has a really good matchup in Angel Geese, this is still just, I still think Angel Geese in a vacuum is a little bit better because it operates like these decks. But Victor is seriously one of the best like non-loop decks. Like honestly, that is out right now. Okay, cool. We're gonna go back down. Blau, Merciless, not because they don't have it listed. I'm gonna say Shout's loop is this. I gotta be honest. Every time I've watched Shout loop play outside of Worlds, it's not really a good deck. It's very fragile early. If you know how to play against this properly, the deck really doesn't work. And then on the user side, you have to know your sequencing for what you're doing. Like you can really easily mess up this loop if you're not playing correctly. So you have to know your sequencing with this deck. So like if you're like 3 weeks, or if you're like 2 weeks out from a BCS, like sure, this deck looks simple, but like once you get like through the sequencing, you have to see all your patterns of like how you need to sequence certain cards so you're continually getting your pieces to continue the loop back in your hand to restand and stuff like that. So that's why I put Shout there. Like Shout's a loop deck. Shout can kill you, but like I don't think Shout is like one of the best loop decks if we have to talk about a loop deck. Like I'd put this at the lower end personally. Chaos is anti-meta for sure. I talked about this on my profile. Locking your opponent's circles and telling them to die, and again forcing your opponent to get on ladder is broken. So I would definitely again consider doing that. That's like what you want to be doing. Freeze ray control. This deck's cool. I want to build this deck actually, but I don't think it's that good. In my opinion, like it has some cool merit. Again, Freeze Ray is like sick, but I don't think it's there. Deletor Messiah. Okay, cool. Let's talk about this deck. I think Deletor Messiah though is still one of the best non-loop decks. And now, why do I have this so much over Chaos? And as I'm lining Chaos up as an anti-meta pick. The reason I'm lining up Chaos as an anti-meta pick is because Chaos is more so like built to beat the loop decks and some of these other non-loop decks. Like Chaos stomps Angel Geese, and we can make OTT have a pretty rough time just because like we can switch flip kill them, because most of the time OTT doesn't play perfect guards. So if they go first and they make the PGs with the Kirin, you're striding into you're striding into what is it called? You're striding into Barrio End, and you're just like forcing them to like pretty much die. Because like if you call a Zerk, that Barrio End is 4 crit, and you're probably gonna kill them. So that's why it's there. And so like you're getting positioned and like locking these decks out. Deletor Messiah though like can roll anything on this list, just because this is in theory a loop deck, because you're chaining Given like repeatedly, and you're going through your deck with Cosmic Dawn. The deck's super sick, and it can play controlly, so you can pivot to, you know, playing the Link Joker like playstyle of Lock, but in theory it's a combo deck. And I think combo right now, just between like loops and, you know, decks that set up for this really flashy combos, are really situated well right now. I think it's why like Revengers is there. I want to say Revengers is one of the best non-loop decks, just because it has the issue of running in, like, it has the same folly that the loop decks have of, like, if you run into matchups that force you to put you on ladder, like you're susceptible to the same problem the loop decks are, which is why, or these decks for that matter, outside of Victor, because Victor won't play ladder. Victor will just play the guns in, and Angel doesn't care because it's not comboing, but like being able to snipe rear guards again is a problem for that. Let's see, Deleters. It loses just the firepower that the Messiah going first gives you. Pure Messiah, it's okay. I have a hard time. I would just say don't bother. I mean, there are decks like you can play any of these. At the end of the day, it's your choice. But like, I don't think it's worth. Crest Messiah, do not bother. Please do not play that deck. That deck is horrible. That deck was horrible with the Superior Stride, and now it is even worse after they got rid of the Superior Stride. So please stop playing this deck. Yeah, and Crest Harry, like, yeah, Crest Harry just plays out with the stage. Ballistus Loop. I have no idea again. I need to talk to Alex or somebody that really plays Messiah to see if, like, that is a thing. Thavas. I don't know. This is tough. This is really tough, actually. So I would say Thavas though has a lot of issues, man. Although it did top. Okay, I'll put it at the bottom of solid choice because it topped this season. But I don't think it's like one of your stronger picks. So just keep that in mind. I have nothing really bad to say about Aqua for like Thavas in general, but like I don't think it does enough. And that's why I'm just gonna put the rest here. I just don't think Aquaforce does enough. Again, Peace Reliant, just a lot of problems. Crest Nightrose. Where are you, my friend? Right behind Ichipopo. This deck is broken. A lot of me and my friends are kind of at this position now where it's like, bro, this deck has been like in the best lineup for years now. So you just gotta give it some salt. Yeah, stop playing Pure Nightrose. You can play Pure Nightrose if you want, like, but the Crest Nightrose thing is ridiculous. Ghosty Geese we can be done with. Beatrice Control, no. If you're gonna play like a Pure Granblue list, just play the Superior Ride then at that point. Scaredic Turbo. Do they have it? Okay, no. So there's a Magnolia Infinite Power Loop that like uses Scaredic and rides Magnolia, so we're gonna put that up here. And so does Flanger OTK, does the same kind of work. So we're gonna put Flanger OTK up here too. This deck is crazy, bro. This deck is so good. These like serve the same purpose as more loop decks that will just, you know, deck them out, reverse stack OT. You're playing the Ghosty that counterblasts and puts a grade 0 on the bottom of your deck, and then you're just like cacking that repeatedly. So you're taking all this damage, putting yourself at 5, counterblasting like 3 to like reverse stack the deck, and then you put Negrobones on the bottom like to revive. It's like absolutely insane, and then you just kill your opponent. It's so broken. It's so ridiculous. Negrobolt OTK, just don't bother. Deletor and Granblue I saw, but like I don't think it's good. Highlander. Okay, actually let's talk about this. Highlander is busting. Highlander is busting. I'd say here. Highlander's still really good. Highlander, again, is one of those decks that really does not care what it plays into. It's going to do the same thing every game, just different variations and flavors depending on what it hits off the top 10 with Reindeer. But this deck has a little bit of everything, man, because it just can play so many one-ups. Having Denial Griffin access with the Lyrical Monasterio cards that bounce front row units to hand that you can call off. Citron is broken. Heltrata is still a ridiculous card, allowing you to get 3 Vanguard swings a turn. You're doing Overlord plus some, which is ridiculous, and it beats out anti-meta in terms of Link Joker. So, like, you just don't care. It's so ridiculous. Highlander is so good. Riviere. I want to call like Riviera anti-meta. I'd say it's solid though. Like you play the natural resist chick, you beat the anti-meta here. And you can superiorize, you can like rush and like cheese. Like it's not terrible. I'd say it's better than Thavas though. But like I'd have it here. On yeah, Laris Tiroa, yeah, no, I just better like play. If you're gonna play Bermuda, play Highlander, man. Chrysarain, oh no, not my boy. Chrysarain's there, Siana's there. All right, and now we're getting to the Zoo clans. You know, my specialty, Big Belly Bussin is the only great. Oh, okay, it's not the only great nature deck represented. Okay, here we go. Much as I hate to say it, Big Belly's only a solid choice. I wish this was like in one of the best non-loop decks. You can play this deck though extremely well. I have a deck. I'm thinking about taking Big Belly low key to a BCS just to see how well I do in theory. This deck has potential to be a really good aggro deck and then have some control elements to it. So stay tuned for that. If you guys really want the Big Belly deck profile, smash the like button. If I get over 50 likes on this video, the week after it gets 50 likes, I will drop the Big Belly deck profile because I already have it recorded. So if you guys want it, I will give it to you before I even take it to the BCS. So if you sit across from me, you'll know what I'm playing. Hamsuke. It's there too. Hamsuke is a crazy aggro deck. Like, you can get 4 Excel circles on your first strat. Like, if you go first and you do the Big Belly ride up and then you ride Hamsuke on the next play, you're getting 4 Excel markers. Which, like, you die going into the X turn. Like, you just straight up die going into the X turn. But you have a lot of aggro output. So, like, you're similar to Victor on that end. You're kind of doing the pseudo, not like a loop, but, like, you know, just multiply restanding the same hamster and doing that. It's been a minute since I've actually done a Hamsuke profile. If you know what? I'll do a week of Great Nature if this video gets 50. If this video gets 50 or more likes, I will do a week of Great Nature and talk about all the ways you can play Great Nature for this upcoming BCS season. Because I want to do that, but I want to give you guys content that you want first. French Katrina does not exist. Enos Katrina does not exist, and Agro Katrina does not. Actually, these just don't exist. I'm not even including these. Katrina's at 1. If you're playing a Katrina-based deck, you're wrong. Musketeers, I don't think it's bad though. I think it's actually very high end. I'd say it's here, and then I'm gonna come through and reorganize this in a second near the end. But yeah, Musketeers goes crazy, bro. Like, you're an aggro deck. You're gonna loop. You have the superior stride. So like, yeah, you're not hurting. You get advantage. Your Vanguard restands multiple times. You're another one. I want ladder protection deck. So. Yeah, nothing you can really complain about there. Gridora, Darkface, nope. Flag Colony. Too many pieces. Mythiarch Colony, though, is still a thing. Cradle Colony, no. Shield Colony, no. Yeah. I think this is pretty accurate in terms of what you're going to see. I'll re-walk through the solid choice, but let's talk about the last deck I added into true anti-meta for this format. With Gridora being at 1, we think that Mega Colony is dead. I don't think we need to. You cannot sleep on Mega Colony. The people that are still playing Mega Colony into this format with Gridora being at 1 really know the deck and really know their matchups. Shout out Logan. Logan actually won the Crow's Nest with only the OT being banned for that tournament. In Georgia a month ago, I think it was about a month ago. Yeah, because it was it was like July 27th. So yeah, like literally just a little over a month ago. He won with Mythiarch Mega Colony. It stomps most of these loop decks because they require a call from deck. It stops Granblue. Geese has a really hard time playing into it sometimes, just because like their Gridora, if they know how to play, they can tempo it correctly, and just kind of make it really awkward for you. Yeah, man, like it's just tough, and it's just really hard to get going against that deck. Plus, like, if they know the matchups, they know the matchups. So anybody playing Mythiarch Gridora is pretty much committed to the clan. Because like you don't have the I'm going to turn my brain off and spam Gridora 2 to 4 times a game. You have to know what you're doing with this deck. I'm going to re-explore this deck actually at some point. And plus, it's actually like not super expensive outside of the Geese for the Megiddo. So like if you already have that, like you can pick up this core for like about, I think last time I looked was like 110 bucks. So, but you have to know your matchups. Like this is a deck you're going to have to playtest. Chaos is a deck you're going to have to playtest. And the Narukami is a deck you're going to have to playtest. Like these though, the latter two more than the first two, because the first two could like, this could like go up to here easy, but it doesn't. So yeah, let's go through here though and review Solid Choice. So again, here are your loop decks. Again, I don't know what the Fortana loop does. I'll show these off since I think my face cam is hiding them. I don't know what the Fortana loop does and the Hyper Electrical Helper or the Ballistus loop. If any of my lovely viewers want to explain these to me, I will give my position of where I think they fall if they fall outside of Don't Bother. So yeah, let's go through. So Fenrir OTK, this is the big highlight here. Fenrir OTK, kills your opponent. Can do that the fastest. Ezel Loop can do it the most brokenly about playing through the Overtrigger. Hellheart 8 is a GB8 deck, but like if they get there, they get there, and they insulate their turn with Ladder, so you hope you hit OT and die. Shout Loop, most fragile loop, hardest to sequence. Get rich or die trying. Scaredic Turbo and Flanger OTK. These are soft imitations of the Fenrir OTK that kill your opponent, kind of the same magnitude. Scaredic Turbo is going to focus on infinite power. Flanger is just going to do the guard restrict thing and kill your opponent by like turbo decking out. So I guess if we're gonna truly call it not a loop deck, but it's playing like a loop deck. You're just starving your opponent the entire game. This would be more accurate, and then it's like these loop decks. Crest Rose, though, is like right behind it. I think this deck is still incredibly consistent. You also have access to the Watermelon Order, which I forgot to talk about, which like dicks down Hellheart 8. Like they drop that card and they skip their turn. Angel Geese still very strong. Victor still very strong. Highlander. I still think Deletor and Messiah is really good. I think we need to stop sleeping on this deck. Getting into Solid Choice, I think Revengers is there. It's proven itself this season. I'd say that the next deck is low-key. It could be Galley combo. Or no, low-key it's Musketeers. It's Musketeers, Galley combo. I say low-key. Gasteel's pretty busted. I'd say it's like about here. Crest Luard has some pretty solid counterplay. I'd give Crest Nui the next work. NLK Barrow. I also say Dieliners somewhere around here. Again, I don't know about Gallop. This is like with an asterisk. Stage Harry. This deck still is pretty weak. It still has a really terrible right-up turn. Belly, I think, is a little bit higher. Riviere, I think, is a little bit higher. Crest Jet, I don't think is terrible. I think Overlord still, though. Overlord just sacks its way to a win. I think this is a lot more representative. But, yeah. So, this is kind of what I'm thinking for the upcoming BCS 2025-2026 premium format. Again, while it is loop hell, you obviously have a bunch of more choices you can play. You have 4 decks that can counter the loop decks if you're expecting to see those. If these decks get into top cut, they do some damage. The best on loop decks, though, of course, are these. You have your crazy OTK decks. Your Fenrir OTK. These are your loops. I'm calling the Fenrir though. You just literally are doing the same thing to get there. You just deck yourself out. So if you want to be there, that's there. But like I'm calling this a loop deck. I don't care. All these are loop decks. This is the only one that doesn't because you have to Coleco Turbo. Yeah. I think that this format's in a very interesting spot. And to throw off the people that just clicked to the end of the video, Big Belly's the best deck in format. I hope that you guys really take that to heart and you play Big Belly this format. But with that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful rest of your week. Let me know what you guys think for this upcoming premium format in the comments down below. I'm really looking forward to what you guys have to think for this format, and if you are going to be playing premium and the limited premium events this format. But make sure you hit the like and subscribe. I'm trying to push my way up to 2K, and we are getting really close, so I hope that you guys are just doing your part to contribute, and it has been so awesome to make you all content again. But yeah, that's going to do it. I love you all. God bless, and take care.